Hello, everyone. It's Chaz, your beloved Chaz. It's your beloved West Ham Irons channel. Again, I will not sort of apologize for repeating myself. I just want to say thank you to all the viewers, all the support I'm getting at the moment. It's going through the roof. We're making the big channels wake up, notice us, which they do anyway. But anyway, yep, 1,500 subs we've gone, quickly racing towards 2,000. Last couple of shows, especially the one sort of a couple of days ago, hit over 5,000 views. I did a show earlier on today just discussing a few things going on around our club since the last game that we played. Doing a special video this evening for you guys. It's kind of imminent that we're going to get a new manager coming in over the next coming days and week. I don't want to say weeks, days and maximum week. It's gone on far too long. And this video again portrays the channel. We're very strong about our views, black or white. We know where we want to go. We call a spade, all that kind of thing. We don't sit on the fence. We didn't when we wanted David Moyes out in October. And again, we're going to stick my head out on my head anyway. And and again, I've done a lot of thinking, a lot of research, which I'm going to share with you guys. So at the end of the video, it's all about collaborating with you guys. Read my comments, read the arguments I'm going to put forward, or watch my arguments, what I should say, watch and listen, what arguments are going to put out there. And my view is, again, it's to do with the situation we're in, which is pretty dire, is that Rafa Benitez, the great Rafa Benitez, would be great for West Ham United in the position we're in at the moment. If we had sacked David Moyes in October, it might have been a slightly different situation and different video. Then I would have pushed the club to go and get perhaps a younger manager, perhaps a manager who hasn't managed a second or third club, but you see something, you see spark in that guy, in the way he's playing football. It's up to you. The scouts should not only be looking at players, they should be looking at managers and coaches and all that kind of thing, So October or even in the summer, especially before the 200 million was given to David Moyes, that was the time to make a change. Have a discussion with David. David, about to hand you 190, 200 million. I'm a bit worried about the previous 6 windows where half of them we haven't even bought anyone. And when we did, it's after lots and lots of arguing, lots and lots of delays, and then ending up sometimes with the wrong person because we didn't want to buy anyone, but we just had to. We ran out of time. He spent too long chasing the wrong targets. He spent too long just saying no to everything we said to you. I mean the scouts of the board, and you are not giving us any ideas yourself. What you want, you keep saying you're happy. So all those questions should have been asked in the summer. And if there's a reasonable doubt that perhaps the director, the owners, the board are not going to have a happy relationship going forward because they're too different, then that was the time to be a man and say thank you, David Moyes, including the fans will say thank you, David. Thank you for saving us a couple of times, stabilizing us. But now we're looking for slightly younger, different type of football, looking to win trophies, attract a different type of players. That's all you have to do. I've done many things in my life. I had a channel before this. You just make professional decisions in your life. You want to go down a different route, you explain your decisions, you shake hands, and away you go. The worst thing you can do is not do nothing about it. Pretend you're happy, and then it ends up in a situation like this. We've spent 170, 180 million. Nothing's working. We're in the bottom 3. Football's dreadful. Morale is low. Morale, I mean, amongst the fans, amongst the players. The players are not playing for him. They're fed up with him. I've gone through the reasons of everything that David does. Don't want to repeat them again. Academy management, players, lineups, in-game management, recruitment, backroom team, all that kind of thing. It's just not going anywhere, right? So in this situation we're in at the moment, which means we've kind of missed the whole World Cup, that 1 month off. We didn't make a decision. We have wasted 10-9 good, winnable, okay, point driven, point gaining games, right? After this Everton game, we've got hard fixtures. We've got Newcastle, got Chelsea, got Spurs, got Villa coming up, got Forest. Not very easy. Not very easy. Not any games easy, but certainly harder than the 7, 8, 9 games Moyes has wasted by gaining a point, I think, isn't it? Or did he get that fluky Bournemouth win in that run as well? But dreadful 6, 7 defeats in a row, one draw. And in this position we're in, we can't afford or we cannot risk bringing someone in from another country who's got no experience of the league, the language, not a big name out there in terms of attracting players. And what, 2 weeks left in the window, doesn't get nervous, doesn't need time to settle. It's got to be Rafa Benitez, 62 years old, many trophies, which I'm going to go into shortly. I'm just going to change my thing so I can open it up for you guys and I will share that with you. So yeah, for Rafa, for me, 62 years old, many trophies, which we'll go through, lots of experience, which we'll go through in the video as well, knows the league inside out. English is not an issue. The number of years he's been in the game, he can attract all the biggest players. Anyone in the world will know who he is, commands respect, tactically very astute, got more than one formation that he plays. And we'll go into a bit later on, but certainly with this man, he knows his system and systems and buys and plays players accordingly to that system. So he's got a system and then he buys players that can fit into that system, not the other way around with David Moyes, where he's got one system and some of the players he's been buying don't fit into that system. And they're certainly not been in that system before he's been buying them. And then they look out of place or demanding them to do things that's just, they're not up to it, right? Either the age or the fitness or things like that. So that's a big thing with Raka, you know. I know football's difficult, but for me, I think football's fairly simple. You should have a philosophy of playing football that hopefully works for you. And then you look around the world for players with those attributes. So when they're coming in, they're roughly been playing the way you play. So they slot into that. You know, you don't play a winger fullback, vice versa. You don't play a midfielder up front for 2 years. You don't keep playing players that are well too old, fitness issues, stamina issues, strength issues, injury prone issues. You don't do none of that. All these things David Moyes has done, right? It's kind of what Rafa's good at. But before we really get into Rafa's tactics, what he's about, and again, supporting why I believe Rafa would be a good choice for West Ham United, is let's look at the available managers quickly out there. Available, I mean, not in a club, and why, again, Rafa makes sense. I mean, you got Zinedine Zidane. You see what I mean? Forget it. Let's go to number 2, Tuchel. Very minor chance if you'd given him the job in October or in the summer. Well, actually, he was sacked after that, so I can't really go into that. But October, maybe. And then if you pretend, I mean, I know it's kind of, you can't go back in history and change things, but the only way you're going to get Thomas Tuchel or Poch is if you're giving them good amount of money, good project, reasonable team, but then the facilities, a training ground, things like that. You know, you got to mix it all up to them, and then there's a chance you can grab anyone. Emery's gone to Villa. All these things can happen, so that's why Zidane, Tuchel, Poch, they're not going to come to West Ham, right? We're in the bottom 3. The owners are not that easy to work with. For Poch, the owner might remind him of Daniel Levy, the way he operates, sticking his nose in, not giving him much money, that kind of thing. So, and then Bielsa. So you can clearly see, discussing these 3-4 managers, none of them are plausible for West Ham United. Bielsa's too old. He's clashed with Sullivan before. They approached him a long time ago. He doesn't want to work with them, right? That's the kind of thing for them. And Rafa's at number 5. I'll come back to Rafa in a minute. You've got AVB, who I like. I like Andre Villas-Boas, but I just think that the timing with games running out, although we are just over halfway, bear in mind, and the window gone and the pressure, I think Rafa can take a pressure a bit more than AVB. He's more hard-skinned and much more experienced. But I do like AVB. He was on my list when we should have looked at it in October, November at the latest. So Rafa for me is a little bit ahead of AVB in terms of preference for me because of the situation we're in. Sean Dyche, I think the owners would look at this, but they know the backlash they're going to get from the fans. So that does mean a lot to them, as you know. So for that reason, style of football and the players we've got will not play Don Sean Dyche football. Sean Dyche has usually got one or two okay technically players, but the rest, all of them, the rest of them are grafters. Very, very strong, good stamina. They'll run all day for you. I don't think we got enough of those players. You know, you look at Paqueta, Benrahma, few of the others. I don't think Cressy and all our fullbacks, I don't think they're strong and full of running as Sean Dyche would like. So for that, I don't think that's going to happen. Solskjaer's up there as well. Don't even want to go into that. I don't think he's made out to be a Premiership manager. Javi Gracia, is it? Yeah, he's all right. But you can see a couple of the names are too good for us because we don't have rich enough owners or enough ambitious owners to make the project sold to these three anyway with Zidane, Tuchel and Poch. And then AVB, I think, in terms of pressure, I'm not sure he'll be able to take the pressure if it didn't go so well in the first couple of games. Rafa makes sense to me. He's not with the club at the moment. Going to be 63 in kind of this April, but he's a young 62, 63. You know, looks good. He's okay. Still looks commanding on the touchline and very assured. The thing with him is, right, he never looks lost or nervous or lack of ideas. He strongly knows what he needs, you know. And listen, nothing's perfect. His last job at Everton didn't go smoothly, but Everton are kind of a bit like a Sunderland at the moment, where no matter how much money you throw at it, doesn't matter what manager goes in there, they're all going to come a little bit unstuck, you know. So he was coming in after the previous couple of managers had spent a lot of money. And it was kind of players leaving and going. It wasn't a very good atmosphere, and he didn't settle in. And obviously, his history with Liverpool down the road, that was always a bit of a silly choice for him, to be honest, to even go down. It was always going to be difficult, really. So Rafa for me is the one. Preferred formation a lot of the time is 4-2-3-1. If you have a look at his Everton teams, and then when Calvin Lewin was injured, he liked to go 4-4-1-1. Newcastle was 4-2-3-1 predominantly, which we'll look into in good detail because he was there for about 3 years. So if you look at his career, I mean, okay, Everton and China, going back a year and a bit, it's been up and down. But apart from that, I mean, how can you do reasonably good at Newcastle with no money, kept them middle of the table, strong, the players are all motivated? Because that's a big thing for me. When the players play for the manager week in, week out, you know, Newcastle, they weren't going to win anything, but then they weren't going to go down and they were very difficult to play against. But he had other attacking attributes that'll kind of be good for West Ham. So Newcastle, Madrid, Real Madrid, very good record there. Napoli, not bad. Chelsea, won a couple of trophies there. Inter Milan, Liverpool, Valencia. And if you have a look at the trophies he's won, one Champions League, two UEFA Cups, two league titles, Liga and League, FIFA Club World Cup, European Super Cup, the Copa, two FA Cups, Copa trophy are in there as well, and Coppa. Sort of apologies for the pronunciation. A couple of Italian Super Cups in there, Community Shields in there, and yeah, actually one or two Champions Leagues in there actually. Yeah, so the new one and the old one. So lots and lots of trophies. So no issue about trophies, no issue about pedigree, no issue about league experience. And the football's okay. It's good. It's not completely defensive, as you might be thinking. It's kind of measured. It's kind of balanced. It's very careful. But what I'm going to, yeah, but the defense does exactly what it's told to do: defend. And the midfield is there to support the attack, and they're all three separate departments, but all working within kind of the experts that they are within that department. So we're not telling someone to go out their remit and do something they're not good at and they mess it all up, right? The defense is there to defend largely. The midfield is largely there. The two in the middle are largely there to win the ball and pass it around if you can sideways. You don't have to be good at hitting a 20, 30, 40-yard ball in the 2 CDM position. You're just there to win the ball and give it to the players who are much more kind of better attacking, They've got talent there. They can score goals, assists, crosses, that kind of thing, really. So that's what I'm talking about. And then before I go into it, I'm just going to bring up my formation thing, which I love using with you guys. As you know, it kind of explains a bit more and you can visually see what I mean, really. Before I go into it again, if I quickly go through the main sort of things to look at, really. Moyes only has one tactic, 4-2-3-1. And a lot of the players he's trying to play in that position lately, they don't want to play in that because it's one formation and it's he's a very mentally defensive, the confidence is not high in David Moyes, and the players have that's filtered through to the players now. He doesn't go into a game with full of confidence. He's more worried about the opposition, which is yeah, you should look at that, you should plan for that, but it's a lot more about them than the threat you'll have for the opposition. And then if you keep hearing that message every week for a number of months and years, you kind of doubt your own ability. And now you've got players largely out of confidence, shadow of themselves, don't really play like they used to when they first came in, really. But for him, it's just one way. With Rafa, he's flexible. It's 4-2-3-1. It can be 4-4-1-1 and 4-5-1. And that's how he buys the players, that they can adapt to those three main formations that he works with, really. We're going to be looking at largely 4-2-3-1, but 4-5-1, you'll understand anyway how that works as we get into it. Transfers, David Moyes, such a big thing in a manager to regularly freshen your squad, challenge your players, make sure that they're never that relaxed, that they know they're never going to be dropped. We got players in our team who've not been dropped for many, many years now, for 2-3 years now, in that position, even though their form's largely been average, right? Not a good thing, right? Rafa is a big name in transfers. So a lot of the time we've lost that players because they don't want to play for David Moyes or they're not sure who he is. Rafa, worldwide, huge name, one of the top biggest names in the world. No problem in trying to recruit big names. And Rafa has been trying to sell club to players involved in contracts. All the big names in the world you can think of, the Jaras, the Real Madrids, the Inter Milans, the Chelsea boys. No character is too big for him to control. No ego is too big for him to control. So all of that headache is kind of gone. With David Moyes, it's probably Sullivan dominating because he knows more people out there than Moyes does. With Rafa, he's got established relationships across all the big clubs, all the big scouts, and he can probably buy a lot of players without much Sullivan sticking his finger in. And the one challenging thing about Rafa, which hopefully doesn't get in the way of being sort of appointed West Ham manager, is he's not a yes man. He's very strong. If anything, he gets politically into a lot of trouble at clubs with the board and stuff. You know, he's very strong. So I think the fans will be happy with that because he'll demand things from the club in terms of players, recruitment, all that kind of thing. So he's quite strong like that. Whereas David is, it looks like he's not quite as strong as we thought he was when it came to putting his foot down, telling Sullivan what type of players he wants. So in terms of transfers, no issue with Rafa attracting, and more importantly than not, no issue with him actually wanting to buy players. Rafa likes to spend money, if anything, a bit too much. So there's no issue with him coming to the two windows in January and summer saying who he wants. He'll have a list, huge list already, many, many months in advance, right? Moyes, he doesn't want anyone, as we know what happens with that. Again, subs. You've seen Rafa 2-3 times in the game, pointing fingers, got his famous notepad out, changing tactics 2-3 times in the game, according to kind of what's happening. And the players clearly understand his instructions and they respect that, right? Trophies we've gone through, loads and loads of trophies. David Moyes hasn't got any experience. Again, there's not many managers left with David Moyes' experience. Rafa's up there with him. In fact, Moyes was there when Rafa won all these Champions League and other trophies and UEFA Cups and Super Cups. So, and if you remember, David Moyes' record at Merseyside derbies, largely when Rafa was there, was very, very bad. So Rafa had won over in nearly every single game. Yeah, so those are the main things for me in terms of generally why Rafa's better than Moyes. Onto the tactic field. The problem we've got at the moment, and I'll just be frank, is that for one reason or another, I'm not going to just blame this window. It goes back to the 6, 7 windows David Moyes has had. If you have a look at my, actually, if I make myself a bit smaller, then at least you can see the pitch a bit better. There we go. As you can see, I don't even want to put any name in that right back position. I don't want to put any name in there because there's no one good enough for me to play right back for any formation or any manager, right? And that could be Ben Johnson, it could be Kafal, it could be Kera, whatever. I don't think there's anyone in there that Rafa will like or want to play right back. He will want to replace the right back. He will want to replace the left back. He will want to look at the goalkeeper situation and hopefully give Areola a good run in the team. He will look at the left wing position, which is a big issue with Cornet out. Fornals, I do not see a position for Fornals in a typical Rafa setup, and I'll go into that a bit later on. Those already, as if you didn't need anything more, those are a good amount of issues a new manager's going to have, apart from how late he's coming into the season, how much of the window's already gone, our form going back a year in the league. I don't know how much money we've got. So you can see this job needs a big man, and Rafa is a big man. And what I would request all fans to do, remember the David Moyes time, when, again, I was the only one who wanted him in. Please give Rafa or any manager the confidence to back up and give him at least 5-10 games, right? Don't go in there by, having a go at him left, right. He needs our support. Back him. And that means on the pitch or even online. The messages get around quick. So support you. For me, our channel with this video we're always brave. We're going to put the message out there. We will be very, very happy with the Rafa. Going back to the tactics, it's a very flat back four. And what they like to do, what Rafa likes to do with a flat back four, is that they're very good at pressing. So if the wingers are coming at you, he wants his defenders to be fast, strong, and aggressive, and be very close. And there's another good or bad the way you look at it. This current West Ham team is too nice. Don't foul anyone. We don't win any penalties. Well, recently we have, but traditionally we haven't under David Moyes. With this team, a lot of Rafa's team, it's never short of leaders. We need so many leaders in this team. Hopefully Rafa or the new manager will address that. And his defenders are very strong to look at. They're mean, they're lean, they're like the old school, and they do give away a lot of fouls, right? It's good and bad in that. More likely than not, you're going to pick up the odd yellow card. But the good thing is you are stopping the pattern, the momentum of the opposition, right? And they don't like playing you because they don't like, they're not going to let you pass the ball around and not press you and give you space like we're doing at the moment. His flat back four are your typical hard nut defenders that give you nothing, which is what West Ham fans like. Hard challenges, give you no time, give you no space, harass you, press you, give you no time on the ball, none of that, right? That's what he wants from his team. And I don't see any left back, any right back who can meet that criteria. So Rafa or the new manager will have to address that. Agard and Zuma, no problem. Zuma, there's an issue over his knee, but perhaps he'll be back and we can manage it till the end of the season and look at the situation again. Agard will be a great person for Rafa to work with because he wants distribution. So if I look at Agard, I didn't put an arrow in there now, but I might do it now. So let's go up for the middle. So Agard, Zuma I won't because Agard's passing, I know, and he's comfortable and he loves it. So what we all want from his back four, first of all, be hard defenders, don't give anything away, any space, and defend as a flat back four group, one separate department. You probably heard the story, probably didn't, that under George Graham, the famous Arsenal teams before Wenger came in, who won a couple of good titles under George Graham, 89, 90, 91, 92, all that time. They used to train separately, David Seaman and the back four, and they played the offside trap superbly. Everyone is in line. Everyone understands each other. I know it takes time to get to that level, but this is kind of what Rafa wants. He wants a very good, strong defensive unit there. Let's go on to the two CDMs now, and this is where it gets a bit interesting and different to David Moyes. Souček will have no space or room in this team with Rafa. Souček passing is all over the place. His tackling is erratic. There's nothing there that he's going to bring to the Rafa team. What Rafa will want Rice to do to start off with will be just tackle. He doesn't want Rice going up and down scoring goals, going on the wing, none of that. He wants Rice to stay in there, protect the back four, and then his job, more than Paqueta, will be to win the ball, harry, press, and when you've got the ball, give it to Paqueta or Benrahma or one of those four here. So if you look at Rice and the back four, their job is to harass, to defend, minimize space, press. And as soon as you got the ball, you give it to these lot. You give it to Paqueta, you give it to Benrahma, Bowen, the left winger, whoever come in, and Scamacca. That's what he wants from his team, to do different things, right? Often we find Rice trying to take too many free kicks, score a goal, all that kind of thing. He wants him to stay behind. The interesting thing with Paqueta, which I didn't know about, is that he can put his foot in. He's not bad. So for the time being, because we can't obviously change anything in one window, but in time, if Rafa comes in, don't be surprised if he pushes Paqueta to where Benrahma will probably be at the beginning here. So Paqueta could be that number 10 in the middle in time, because what Rafa, he doesn't like to spend or need to spend too much money on his CDM. So if Rice looks likely to be sold for 80, 90, 100 million in the summer, the good news on the Rafa is not a lot of that money will be gone to replace him, because, like I said, he doesn't want no $6 million man as a CDM. And I think he shouldn't spend too much money on the CDM. Rice is a bit of a freak at what he does, right? The typical CDM is a 30, 40 million player at the most, sits in there, wins the ball, and just gives it to more technically affluent, skillful players. That's your job, right? Don't try to do anything more than that. So hopefully we can replace Rice with a good, strong, reasonably CDM, right? Paqueta's probably got a bit too much skill to play in that role, and perhaps not typically strong mentally to be CDM. But for now, the good thing what Rafa will like about Paqueta is his range of passing. For Rafa likes from at least one CDM is to be a typical CDM like Rice, but then he wants the other one to also be like Rice, but then have a bit more of a passing range about him, ability to find the four up front if he can. So Paqueta will give him that nice choice. It's just that Rafa will have to install a bit more steel in him, a little bit more, just to make sure that you don't leave Rice isolated, that your number one job for now is to win the ball with Rice, but have the ball. You're one of the four who things can happen off. You see what I mean? One of the five. Rice's job will be just to give the Paqueta, nothing more than that, and stay in your positions. Don't start running off up front and leave the back four exposed, really. And then the three up front, Paqueta will be the one will kind of, all the responsibility or most of it will be to kind of attack, make things happen, get it off Paqueta, then look left, look right, look up front. So these four will be, Rafa will want them to be much more mobile. And what he wants from perhaps Bowen and the left winger will be, because he doesn't want the fullbacks to perhaps go up front too much at the beginning, these wingers will need to be strong and lots of stamina, lots of running in them. So he will want these wingers to perhaps go deep to collect the ball and then run into space and attack the opposition fullbacks like a typical winger, and have the ability to cut in as well. So traditional winger is what he wants. Traditional CDM, traditional wingers, traditional defense, which has always worked, right? Why start doing these diamond start formations and things that don't really work, playing wingers, midfielders up front, putting strikers on the wing? None of that with Rafa. Rafa wants a winger. He wants a winger that can run, collect, pick up the ball deep from the fullbacks, run in a straight line down the byline, and have the ability to cut in, to perhaps create something himself, to perhaps score himself, but more likely than not, support Scamacca, support Benrahma, that kind of thing, really. A bit worried about Scamacca because I think under traditionally, Rafa likes his strikers to play on the cuff, to play on the shoulder of the defenders, to have a lot of running. So he will want Scamacca to not just stay there, which I thought wasn't a bad thing. He'll want him to go left, go right, go deep, and then pick up the ball, run. So he wants his team to be, full of running energy. You remember Fernando Torres, and then a couple of strikers at Newcastle. I think Gale, always full of running at the defenders, on their shoulder, crossed on their shoulder, looking for a chance, all that thing, pressing, pressing, pressing. So Skamaka, I don't know much about him to comment at the moment, but I'm not sure that he's a typical Rafa end-to-end, box-to-box dynamic, full of running left, right, shoving people out the way striker, but I could be wrong. But that is usually how Rafa kind of sets up. You know, you'll remember Alonso and Gerrard in the middle of the field and all the many, many wingers and great, great strikers that he's played for, really. So that's kind of what Rafa's going to bring to the plate immediately. But there are concerns, and it shows how difficult his job is. There's not good enough right back, not good enough left back, issue at goalkeeper position. With Cornet out, I don't see there's a position for Fornals in here because Fornals is not a winger and Fornals is not a typical CDM for Rafa. And Fornals, the only thing I can think of him, he might be able to fill in for Benrahma now and again through the middle. I'm not sure because he's full of running and can he create? He can't score, he can't pass. That's the problem, you see, with a lot of them. Antonio, get rid of him if you can. He's past his best. Just not clever enough for Rafa, often going to be guilty of being caught in a wrong position, you know, that kind of thing. Bowen has got a good running in him. You just got to get back to, hopefully, you know, he hasn't forgotten a lot of his traditional wing play that you can do, go to the byline, cross the ball, finishing a bit better, really. So that's kind of roughly how we're going to set up. But it will be a team that will definitely know what they're doing, what's required of them, and hopefully in the window you'll see that from Rafa. Players that come in hopefully can perform the role. So what Rafa does. Yeah, so this is the system, and then he'll buy players to fit the system. Not kind of force them into the system, but actually buy players that are happy to be in that system, really. So you won't buy a CDM who can't tackle and that kind of thing. They'll fit the mold. The only bad thing is he does like to spend a lot of money, so hopefully there's a little bit loose change left for him. But I think in the predicament that we're in at the moment, I think Rafa, and I think we should be quite lucky in a way that Rafa's available. He hasn't got a team. He was very close to becoming our manager the last couple of times, and I think it's when Real Madrid came in for him. He agreed everything the night before. Day of when he was going to sign the contract with West Ham United, Real Madrid came in, and you can't say no to that. And he's from Spain anyway, so he has got that reasonably good understanding. And I've been told that he's told his agent to get in touch with the club that he does want the West Ham job. So it's always good when a manager wants to come. Because don't forget, a lot of these top 10 managers have said no, don't forget, and I kind of understand why. But for me, I think Rafa's an interesting one. I do understand, especially when my friend Frankie said that let's have until the end of the season. Whether we would want it longer than that, beyond the caretaker role, we don't know. I'd rather not worry about that for now because I think there's too much uncertainty around our club, especially in terms of who our owners are going to be in the summer. Is Rice going to be here or not? So for now, I think it's important that we stay up, and it's important we bring a manager in who's got track record and experience of knowing what he wants, what he needs, and he can do the job with minimal fuss or kind of with the board worrying over him and things like that. You know, you've brought in a manager who's very young, has only been at 1 or 2 clubs, hasn't been in the country, no Premier League experience, that kind of thing. They need time to settle, bed in. With him, he's probably got a flat in London already. He can come in, his backroom team he can gather them from around the world quickly, get his whistle in, get his notepad out, and install that belief back into the team. A lot of good players there: Agard, Zuma, Paqueta, Rice, Benrahma, Bowen, Skamaka. These are lots of good players to work with, and dare I say, better players than what our position is showing at the moment. You know, I don't want to say we're too good to go down, but you look at that team and the money spent, and it should be doing a lot better. And hopefully, Rafa recognises that. And yeah, you can get a lot out of them. The only thing, obviously, having said that, Fornals doesn't fit this mold. He's obviously Spanish. Rafa's Spanish. Sometimes when the players are from the same nationality as a manager, they largely form a good relationship, and you can get something out. But for me, I don't see Fornals being on the left wing. If anything, he might be played through the middle where Benrahma moves to the left. So you might have Benrahma, Fornals, Bowen. That might kind of work. But is a kind of a patching it up at the moment because, like I said, we do need to bring in 3-4 players that Rafa would want. He cannot do it in one window. So for now, it'll be just to make the best that you can do. But more importantly, is let's have a better system, 2-3 formations that we can slip into during the game, better substitute management, players recognizing players when they're tired or out of form or perhaps not playing in that position well, just switch it over and keep the players engaged, entertained on the training ground and interested really. And hopefully we've got enough to stay in this league, and then we'll see in the summer what happens really. So those are my many reasons for backing Rafa, why he would be good for West Ham. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll get back to you in a day or two. So take care, keep subscribing, and I do have another sister channel called West Ham News TV. Hands up, I haven't done anything on it for about a month. So hopefully next couple of days I get a bit of a break from my daytime job and I'll start posting videos on there. But again, I want to thank all of you for your support. The channel's been going live for only about 1 year, 1 month, and we're smashing. We're running towards 2,000 subscribers. Last couple of shows have hit 5,000 views. Absolutely amazing support. So again, couldn't do this without you. And obviously it looks like you do enjoy the content from us. Again, it's an original channel. It doesn't sit on the fence. It doesn't copy any of the content other channels do. It doesn't copy what they're saying on. It doesn't go through. It's always trying to be original and different. And I guess reflect that on the channel. People like Frankie, Ginger, all those guys, they're all aggressive in the way they're thinking. They don't hold back. And I hope you enjoy that really from us. So have a great evening. And let's see in the coming week what happens to our club. And again, anything breaks, anything interesting, I'll hopefully be doing the videos there and then for you. So thanks a lot. Come on, you irons. Let's see.